Chosen one. Listen carefully. You did not land on this message by accident. This moment is not the result of an algorithm or a random scroll. Heaven has pressed pause on everything else just to get your attention. This is divine interception. It is not coincidence, it is confirmation. You are not forgotten. You are not ordinary. You are chosen, marked, sealed for a purpose greater than your pain, higher than your logic, and deeper than your fears. There is a reason you've always felt different, a reason you never fully fit in, a reason your path has felt lonely. Because you were never designed to follow the crowd. You were crafted by God for an hour like this. You carry a name that the angels recognize, a seal invisible to the natural eye, but undeniable in the spirit realm. The warfare over your life has not been about where you are, it's about where you're going. Every delay, every rejection, every silent night when it felt like even God had nothing to say, it all had purpose. Because the sealed ones always walk through fire before they walk in authority. And you, chosen one, have been walking with fire trailing behind you. The angels know your name. That's why you've survived battles that would have broken others. That's why you've heard whispers in your spirit that others never hear. That's why you're still standing, even after everything you've lost. Because heaven didn't just save you. Heaven sealed you. God is calling you to remember who you are, not according to what life has said, not according to what people have labeled you, but according to what heaven wrote before time began. You are not called to blend in. You are called to rise. You are a warrior, even when you feel weak. You are chosen, even when others reject you. This is not about feelings. This is about facts in the spirit. And the fact is, your name is known in the courts of heaven. Right now, God is sounding an alarm in your spirit. You feel it, even if you don't have words for it yet. A stirring, a weight, a call. That sense that you can't keep living like you've been living, that what used to satisfy no longer does, that the old cycle is breaking, and something new is about to burst forth. That is not your imagination. That is God preparing to move. You are being called forth, not later, not when you feel ready. Now, God says, you are my chosen one, sealed for this final hour. You may not feel ready, but I have already equipped you. You may not have the support of man, but you have the backing of heaven, and the enemy knows it too. That's why the pressure has intensified. That's why people around you have changed. That's why your name has been in rooms you've never walked into. Because the enemy has sensed what God is about to release through you. This message is a warning and a call. A warning against delay. A call to step into alignment. The heavens are shifting. The earth is groaning. And you, yes, you are being summoned into purpose. This is your moment of decision. Stay in the shadows or rise into the light. Stay bound by the old or step into the seal that's been waiting for activation. If your heart is burning right now, it's because your spirit knows this is true. This is your wake-up call. Type these words as a declaration of alignment. I hear you, Lord, right now. And don't keep this word to yourself. You know someone else who is chosen. Someone else who's been under attack. Someone else who needs to hear that heaven knows their name. Share this message. Speak it. Spread it. There's no time to waste. The final hour is upon us. The sealed ones are being positioned. You are one of them. You've been marked, not for survival, but for divine assignment. This is not about being seen. This is about being sent. And if you know in your heart this message was for you, Stay connected. There's more ahead. This isn't the end of the message. It's only the beginning of your calling. Subscribe to stay in alignment with what God is unfolding. There's too much at stake to miss the next instruction. Chosen one, lift your head. Heaven sees you. The angels know your name. And hell is nervous about what happens when you finally accept who you really are. You carry something no one can see with their eyes. But all of heaven and hell recognize it. It is not ink. It is not oil. It is a mark placed by the hand of God Himself, a seal that identifies you not by your past, but by your purpose. Chosen one, you are sealed. This seal is not cosmetic. It is spiritual authority. It is divine proof that your life was claimed long before the pain tried to define you. You were set apart before you were formed in your mother's womb. And that separation has cost you. You felt misunderstood in rooms where others thrived. You've been silent while others celebrated, not because you were less, but because you were more than the moment allowed. There is a mark on you that people can't explain. It draws warfare and favor at the same time. It both isolates you and covers you. It makes some drawn to you, and others repel from you without reason. And you've wondered, haven't you? What is it about me? Why do I unsettle people without saying a word? Because what you carry threatens the equilibrium of the spirit realm. You are not just marked, you are sealed with something eternal. This is why normal won't work for you. You've tried to settle. You've tried to tone yourself down. You've tried to walk away from the call. But the seal won't let you. It follows you. It burns in you. It reminds you that compromise isn't an option, that comfort is not your portion, that you've been claimed for something greater. The seal is not protection from pain, but it is preservation through it. You've gone through things that should have broken you, moments that should have silenced your faith, seasons where everything inside you said, give up, but you didn't. Because the seal held you. When the weight was too much, the seal whispered, not yet. When everyone left, the seal stayed. When your tears soaked the pillow at night, the seal reminded heaven, this one is mine. Even when you questioned your faith, the seal did not waver, because God does not unchoose those He seals. You are His. Still, after everything, after the doubt, after the disobedience, after the weariness, you are still sealed. That's why the enemy couldn't take you out. He tried. He sent people. He stirred storms. He sowed lies. But nothing worked. Because the seal on your life is a statement in the spirit. This one is protected. This one is appointed. This one belongs to me. You may not feel strong, but you are surrounded. You may not see the full picture, but your name is written in the unseen. You are sealed, not by accident, but because there is something in you that must be released in the earth. The weight you feel in your spirit, the longing, the urgency, it's not random. It's the pull of destiny against the silence of delay. It's the sound of your seal activating. You don't need approval to walk in what God sealed. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. When God sealed you, He approved you, and no one can revoke what heaven authorized. So now you understand why things didn't work out for you the way they did for others. You understand why some paths closed, even when you prayed they'd open. You understand why the wrong relationships fell apart, even when your heart was invested, because the seal was protecting you, redirecting you, preparing you. The people who left were necessary. The places that rejected you were essential. The dreams that died were sacrifices for the vision. God is still unfolding, Nothing was wasted. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. The seal doesn't promise a pain-free journey, but it does guarantee a purposed one. You've been hidden because what's inside you is too valuable to be exposed prematurely. God has been developing you in silence, pruning you in private, sealing you in places no one could touch, so that when the moment comes, you'll stand with unshakable clarity. You don't need a stage. You don't need a spotlight. The seal is the stage. The seal is the spotlight. It is enough. And when you walk into rooms, you will not need to announce yourself. The atmosphere will shift. Not because of your voice, but because of your seal. You are sealed for the final hour. And time is not waiting. Chosen one. Do you understand now why you felt invisible to man but targeted by darkness? It's because the spirit realm has never been blind to you. You've been watched. Not by people, but by powers. The battles you've endured were not just circumstances. They were strategic, orchestrated, deliberate. Because you carry something the enemy fears. You've survived seasons where no one reached for you, where your prayers felt like they hit a ceiling, where silence wrapped around you so thick, you questioned whether God still remembered your name. But here's the truth. Silence is not absence. Silence is often the sound of heaven working in the background. God hid you on purpose. You've been the one in the back, the overlooked, the passed by. Not because you weren't qualified, but because you were being protected. What others saw as rejection was really redirection. The doors that wouldn't open were never yours to walk through. They looked like opportunities, but they were distractions, dressed as blessings. And now, your spirit is stirring because you sense something is shifting. You've been isolated for a reason. The pain you carry is holy. The tears you cried were not wasted. Heaven bottled everyone, because you were not built for convenience. You were built for covenant. There is a loneliness that only the chosen understand, not because you are unloved, but because you are unmatched. Your path is narrow. Your calling is heavy, but your reward is eternal. You don't belong in every circle because your presence carries weight. You carry revelation. You carry light. You carry answers others didn't even know they were praying for. And that makes you disruptive in places where complacency is comfortable. Chosen one. You are not meant to blend in. The reason your presence has made others uncomfortable is because the darkness in them recognizes the light in you. You've walked into rooms and felt tension rise, not because of what you said, but because of what you carry. You bring disruption to spiritual stagnancy. You bring truth where there has been compromise. This is why the enemy has tried to silence your voice before it fully emerged. That shame you wrestled with, it wasn't yours. That fear that paralyzed you, not your inheritance. That heaviness that wouldn't leave, sent to keep you small, but no more. God is lifting the weight. The seal is surfacing, and what was hidden is about to speak. You are not just called, you are commissioned. And your survival wasn't random, it was prophetic. You are still here because you're needed. You are still breathing because your obedience carries ripple effects. There are lives on the other side of your yes. There are chains that will fall when you walk in what you were born to release. This is why the silence was sacred. You've been in a wilderness, and it's felt like delay. But wildernesses aren't for punishment. They are for preparation. It was in the wilderness that prophets found their voice, that warriors received their orders, that kings were anointed in obscurity. Your silence has been your schooling, and now the hour is near. You can feel it. Heaven is pressing on your spirit. The clock is ticking, not in fear, but in fulfillment. You are not late. You are right on time. You're standing on the edge of activation. What you carry is about to be required. No more hiding. No more waiting for permission. The seal on your life is the permission, and if you know in your spirit that this message is yours, comment the number 444. That number marks divine preparation. It declares, I'm not behind. I'm aligned. Type it in the comments right now, 444, to confirm to yourself, to heaven, and to every watcher in the unseen realm that you are waking up to the truth. You are a storm in stillness, a trumpet in the quiet, a sealed one in the final hour, chosen one. You've carried more than most could ever understand. And it hasn't just been emotional, it's been spiritual. The weight on your shoulders wasn't placed there by people, though people have been part of the pain. No, this weight comes from heaven's hand. It is the cost of the call, the burden of the sealed. From the outside, your life may seem ordinary. You get up, you move through your day, you function, but beneath the surface, there is a depth to your spirit, a heaviness to your soul, and a fire in your bones that refuses to be extinguished. You've been carrying something so sacred that even you don't fully understand its magnitude. You have cried over things others would have brushed off. You have stayed silent when you could have defended yourself. You've loved people who did not know how to love you back. You've poured out, and you've waited, and you've wondered, why me? Why do I have to carry this? Why do I always feel so much? Because the ones who carry the weight of glory often walk roads paved with pain. What you've endured was not without purpose. Every betrayal carved something eternal into your spirit. Every delay strengthened the roots you didn't know you had. Every disappointment was permitted not to break you, but to teach you that your help never came from man. You have learned, often the hard way, how to stand when no one clapped for you, how to weep and still worship, how to lose and still listen for God's voice. These are not the lessons of the casual. These are the lessons of the called. You've been trained in obscurity. And though your resume may not impress men, your scars are the credentials that heaven recognizes. You've walked through storms you never asked for, but came out with something the fire couldn't take faith. Not the kind you shout about, the kind you whisper with tear-stained cheeks at midnight, the kind that says, even if I don't understand, I will still trust. That faith, that's what the sealed carry, and that weight, it is not a curse. It is an inheritance. It is what qualifies you to stand when others fall. It is what keeps you from being seduced by applause. It is what allows you to see what others miss. Because when you've suffered, you listen differently. You discern differently. You move differently. You've been trained to recognize atmospheres. You feel spiritual shifts before they show up in the natural. You discern motives without hearing words. You sense danger in safe places and see hope in broken people. This is the work of the weight. It doesn't make you proud, it makes you desperate, dependent on God, aware of your need for His direction every step of the way. And yet, there's a loneliness that comes with carrying such a burden. You've looked around and asked, who can I talk to about this? Who will understand what I'm feeling? But the truth is, the deeper the weight, the narrower the road. Few walk with the sealed. Fewer still carry the same oil. Even in the places where you are known, you are not fully seen. People love your light, but don't understand your burden. They admire your strength, but don't know what it costs you just to show up. And still, you keep showing up. You keep giving. You keep pressing, because the seal in you won't let you stop. You've considered quitting, not just once, many times, but every time you try, something pulls you back. A whisper, a vision, a dream, a memory, a sudden awareness that this isn't just your life, it's a calling. You were not created to coast. You were created to carry glory. And yes, that weight comes with tears, but it also comes with authority. It comes with oil. It comes with access. You've paid in pain for what others want to receive by applause. But the true anointing only comes through crushing. And you, chosen one, have been crushed. You've wrestled in the dark. You've fought demons no one else saw. You've stood alone and still said yes. And now heaven is answering back. The weight you carry will not be wasted. God does not waste obedience. He does not forget surrender. He does not overlook those who serve in secret. There is a shift coming, and those who've been weeping in the shadows are about to be seen, not for fame, but for function, not for spotlight, but for service. Because what's coming next requires people who've been trained in the fire. You are not light because you haven't suffered. You are light because you've suffered and still shine. The enemy tried to bury you, but he didn't realize you were a seed. And every weight, every rejection, every loss, it's been watering the soil. The ground is moving beneath your feet now. And it's not fear, it's birth. This weight wasn't sent to kill you. It was sent to awaken you. You carry too much to stay silent. You've survived too much to sit still. And now, what's inside you is too loud to be ignored. You are not the same as you were before. The weight has shaped you into something unshakable. You're not broken. You're branded. You're not just hurt. You're holy. And you're not finished. Chosen one. You've made it through storms that were designed to silence you. But here you are still standing, still breathing, still carrying that unexplainable fire deep inside. Even if no one else sees it, that in itself is a threat to darkness. You don't have to say a word, your survival is already warfare. There is fear in the camp of the enemy every time you wake up. You don't see it, but hell feels it. You stir in your sleep and the shadows tremble. You walk into a room and something in the unseen begins to shift. Why? Because what's on your life is not normal. You are sealed. You are sacred. You are dangerous. The enemy doesn't fight people who aren't carrying anything. He fights the ones with oil, the ones with vision, the ones who, if they ever fully woke up, would destroy decades of darkness with a single word. That's why you've been fought so hard. Not because of who you were, but because of who you are becoming. Chosen one. Don't you see it now? The patterns, the pressure, the pain. The enemy tried to wear you out before you could rise. He tried to exhaust your strength with delays, distractions, and disappointment. But none of it worked. You're still here, and you're closer to your release than you realize. There have been conversations in the invisible world with your name at the center. Saturn didn't come for your house, your job, or your reputation. He came for your assignment, because he saw what was placed on you before you were old enough to know what it was. He saw the light you carried, the authority, the calling, and he planned your destruction from childhood. That is why your attacks were never fair, why your life has never been predictable, why your enemies often came from places you should have been safe, because he was trying to kill something eternal. But heaven said no. Heaven placed its seal on you. And when God seals something, no demon can unmark it. You were never left uncovered. Even when it felt like the heavens were silent, angels were posted at your side. You didn't make it out of that warfare by luck. You were preserved. Your name has been spoken in rooms of light. Angels have been dispatched because of you. Prayers you forgot you prayed have become decrees in heaven's timeline. And now, the time is approaching. The warfare is intensifying, not because you are under judgment, but because you are nearing release. You were born for this hour, born to stand in the final stretch of this age. You are not a spectator in the battle between light and darkness. You are a weapon. And weapons don't live comfortable lives. They are sharpened, tempered, hidden, and revealed only when the war requires their edge. This is why you felt pressure from every side. You weren't being broken, you were being shaped. And now the darkness is nervous, because you're beginning to see it. You're beginning to remember who you are, not just a believer, but a disruptor, not just a prayer warrior, but a territory taker, not just a survivor, but a carrier of glory. And when the sealed rise, the enemy panics, because you're not looking for the fight anymore. You've become the fight, chosen one. It's time to settle this in your spirit. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not overlooked. You are sealed, strategic, sent. Everything about you, the timing of your birth, the warfare you endured, the doors that closed was part of God's larger plan. There are generations in your bloodline that prayed for deliverance, and you're the answer. You're the one marked to break the cycles, shatter the curses, and walk in freedom that no one before you dared to claim. This is why it's been hard. This is why it's been lonely. You are the interruption. And the final hour is not coming, it's here. Heaven is aligning the sealed for release. And you're one of them. No more shrinking. No more apologizing for your calling. No more trying to blend in when you were born to stand out. You were made for impact, for influence, for intercession that shifts cities, for obedience that sets people free. And every time you choose to show up in your assignment, the kingdom of darkness loses ground. Don't second-guess the timing. Don't doubt the weight of what you carry. Heaven has confirmed it. Hell has tried to stop it. And now, you must walk in it. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. The battle has already marked you. The oil has already chosen you. The time is now. And if you know this message is for you, stay connected. There's more being revealed, more being released, and you cannot afford to miss it. Subscribe if you haven't already. You're not meant to walk this out alone. You are part of a divine movement of sealed ones rising across the earth. You've survived the attack. Now walk in the authority, chosen one. Listen, there's a reason your name is known beyond this earth. It's not just written in family records or whispered among friends, it's recognized in heaven. When you pray, the angels are not confused. They do not ask, "Who is this?" They respond, because your voice carries a sound that matches your seal. You are not a stranger to the hosts of heaven. There are angels who have walked with you through valleys so dark you didn't think you'd survive. When you were too weak to pray, they stood guard. When you cried yourself to sleep, they stood watch. When you asked for help with words too broken to finish, they carried your name into the throne room. The reason you're still here is because you are known where it matters most. You didn't get through that heartbreak on your own. You didn't make it through depression, betrayal, anxiety, and warfare because of coincidence. There were angelic assignments that covered you, preserved you, and protected you, not because you deserved it, but because you are marked. You've questioned your value. You've looked at your life and asked, why me? But the better question is, why not you? Why wouldn't heaven place a seal on someone who has survived hell and still kept their heart soft? Why wouldn't God trust someone who's walked through pain and still prays, still worships, still hopes? The angels don't follow titles. They follow oil. They follow the seal. And you, chosen one, have both. Your obedience is not just obedience, it's a signal, a sound, a vibration in the spirit that calls heaven to attention. There are things you've spoken in prayer that have not been lost. They were not ignored. They were recorded. Some of the shifts you've felt recently are not just emotional. They're spiritual echoes of prayers that are finally breaking through the clouds. Prayers you whispered 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Heaven doesn't forget what is spoken by a sealed one. Even when you thought no one was listening, the angels were already moving. They don't always come with trumpets or bright lights. Sometimes they come in nudges, in sudden clarity, in peace that makes no sense, in people who show up at just the right time. And every time you've wondered, was that God? It was heaven answering through vessels you didn't expect. But now, chosen one, the volume is rising. The angelic activity around your life is intensifying. You've felt it, an urgency, a restlessness, an awareness that something is shifting. Because it is. There's movement in heaven, and your name is on the order. What's been hovering in delay is aligning now with divine instruction. What's been tangled in confusion is being unraveled. What's been lost is being restored. But this is not just about blessings. It's about purpose. The angels don't move for comfort. They move for kingdom. And you, chosen one, are being repositioned, not for ease, but for impact. There are people connected to your yes. You may never meet them in person, but your prayers will reach them. Your obedience will free them. You've been asking for a breakthrough, but God is saying, you are the breakthrough. You are the open door. You are the turning point. You are the one heaven has trained in secret, refined through fire, and preserved through silence, because now is the hour to release what has been cultivated in you. The angels know your name, not because you are loud, but because you are aligned. You've wrestled long enough. You've asked for confirmation. And this is it. No more pretending you're average. No more shrinking around people who don't recognize the seal. No more dismissing the weight you carry. Chosen one, the invisible realm is watching you, waiting for you, responding to you. The sealed carry a sound, and yours is rising. It's not about being perfect. You've made mistakes. Yes, but the seal isn't lifted by failure. It's proven in how you rise again. And every time you've chosen to get back up, heaven has rejoiced and hell has trembled. Because you still carry the oil, you still carry the assignment, you still carry the name, and that name is written in places far higher than your current circumstance. You've been feeling small only because you've been measuring yourself by man's view, but the angels know the truth. They've seen what you survived. They've seen your yes in the quiet. They've seen your prayers when no one else was watching, and they know your name. So the next time you feel forgotten, remember, heaven has not overlooked you. When you step into your assignment, you don't step alone. You step with heaven's backing, with angelic escorts, with divine reinforcements. You step as one who has been sent. And now, if something in your spirit is burning, if your heart is thudding because this message has echoed your unspoken thoughts, then write this in the comments as a declaration. I am known. These 3 words carry weight in the spirit. Say it. Declare it. Believe it. You are known in heaven, feared in hell, and essential on earth. Chosen one. Look back for a moment, not to dwell, but to see clearly. Every detour, every door that refused to open, every path that vanished just when you thought you had direction, none of it was by accident. You have been guided, not in a straight line, but in sacred zigzags, because your destination was never meant to be conventional. The sealed rarely walk a predictable path. There were jobs you didn't get, relationships that unraveled, cities you left, plans that failed because they were never aligned with the seal you carry. You prayed, and heaven heard you. But some of what felt like silence was actually divine protection. You were not being ignored. You were being redirected. The road of the marked is not one of ease, it is one of precision. You've asked why it had to take so long, why you've circled through seasons that seemed stuck, why certain things have not yet broken open. But delays in your life have not been punishments, they've been calibrations. God was adjusting your pace to heaven's rhythm, slowing your steps so that you wouldn't walk into something before it was ready or before you were. You are not behind. You are being aligned. This alignment has required loss. There are people who left your life not because of failure, but because of fulfillment. Their role in your story had reached its end, and heaven did not allow them to follow where you were being led. You didn't lose them. They were released. Some doors slammed shut because what waited behind them would have suffocated your destiny. You didn't miss out. You were spared. You've experienced heartbreak that shattered your assumptions, grief that knocked the wind from your chest, uncertainty that tested the foundation of your faith. And yet, through all of it, there was a thread unseen, unbreakable, that kept pulling you forward. That thread was alignment. Heaven has been rearranging everything around you to bring you into position, not for a moment of comfort, but for a lifetime of purpose. The call on your life is not about platform or recognition. It's about function. There is something you are uniquely designed to release into this world, and it could not be released through disorder. It required structure. It required refinement. It required the kind of transformation that only time and surrender can create. You were never wandering. You were being shaped. And the places where you felt lost were often the places where heaven was doing the deepest work. In confusion, God clarified your identity. In darkness, He strengthened your discernment. In loneliness, He deepened your intimacy. In lack, He taught you reliance. What felt like delay was discipline. What felt like punishment was preparation. What felt like silence was sacred instruction, disguised as stillness. And now, something within you is awakening. You don't have all the details, but you sense it. A shift, a pull, a knowing that you are not where you started, that you've come through something, that the version of you standing here now is not the same one who asked all those questions years ago. This is alignment. The false paths have been removed. The temporary voices have been silenced. The noise of the crowd has faded, and in its place is a clarity you didn't know you needed. You no longer crave what used to feed your ego. You no longer chase what used to look like success. You see, now God has been narrowing your path not to limit you, but to prepare you for impact. The sealed ones walk with direction, not always detail. But direction. And you've been following it, even when it made no sense. Even when the wilderness stretched too long. Even when your heart was tired and your prayers felt dry. You didn't give up. You didn't walk away. You stayed the course, even if it was with a limp. And that's all heaven needed. Chosen one. You are not wandering. You are being aligned. This is why certain things have recently started to fall away. What used to excite you now feels hollow. What used to satisfy you now stirs discomfort, because heaven is fine-tuning your spirit, pulling your focus, clearing the path for what comes next. You are being drawn to the right places, the right people, the right opportunities, not because you chased them, but because alignment is attracting what belongs to you. You won't have to strive for what you're being aligned to. You won't have to manipulate open doors. You won't have to beg for validation. When alignment hits, what belongs to you will recognize you, and you will walk into it not as a guest, but as one who was expected. This is the power of divine recalibration. And it is not just for your benefit. Your obedience in these strange, hidden seasons has ripple effects. Others are being repositioned because you stayed on course. Others are hearing the call because your life echoes it. You're not just walking for yourself, you're paving a path for those who will follow behind you. Chosen one. Trust the redirection. It has never been about going in circles. It has always been about coming into alignment. Chosen one. Let's speak plainly about the fire. Not metaphor, not poetry, the real fire. The kind that consumes you from the inside. The kind that strips you of every illusion. The kind that burns off the parts of you that can't go forward. You've walked through it. You've stood in it. You've breathed it in until your spirit cried out for air. This fire was not punishment. It was permission. Permission for heaven to prepare you through purification. Because what you are being called to carry cannot mix with what you used to believe. You've cried out for clarity, for strength, for authority. And God answered not by making your life easier, but by lighting a fire under everything that was false. That fire burned through relationships that were built on comfort, not covenant. It consumed plans you designed out of fear, not faith. It exposed truths you didn't want to face but had to. Because sealed ones don't lead from fantasy. They lead from the ashes of what didn't survive. It was in the fire that your motives were tested. In the fire that your heart was refined. In the fire that your idols cracked and your fears began to melt. God allowed the fire, not to destroy you, but to define you. You didn't ask for it, but you couldn't avoid it, because the fire is the sacred path of the chosen. You wondered if it would ever end. The pressure, the pain, the nights when you were too tired to pray and too broken to hope. But even when you said, "I can't take it anymore," something deeper inside you held on. That something wasn't strength, it was surrender. You didn't fight your way through the fire. You yielded through it. You let go. You stopped pretending. You stopped trying to hold everything together and finally admitted, "God, I need you." And in that moment of surrender, something shifted. Not around you, within you. The fire didn't make you holy. It revealed that you already were. It revealed that beneath the fear, the doubt, the self-protection, there was a warrior, a vessel, a sealed one. And now, even if you don't feel it, you are not who you were before the fire. You see differently now. You sense motives before they're spoken. You know when someone's smile hides a serpent. You feel God's whisper in silence. You've developed discernment that cannot be taught in books, because it was forged through fire. You walk lighter now, not because the fire took nothing, but because it took everything that didn't belong. Some of what burned you also freed you. Some of what ended made room for what you were too afraid to ask for. Some of the people who left were exits, heaven arranged, and you were never meant to carry their weight into your next chapter. The fire removed them without your permission, because your permission was already given when you said yes to the seal. That yes cost you more than you expected. You didn't realize at the time that yes meant heartbreak. That yes meant being misunderstood. That yes meant spiritual attacks, isolation, and seasons of silence. But you said it anyway, and that yes still echoes through the fire. You didn't survive because you were lucky. You survived because you were chosen, and chosen ones are preserved in flame. They walk through it with bruised hearts but unburned spirits. They emerge not smelling of smoke but carrying the scent of surrender. This is why the fire hasn't consumed you, because the fire recognizes what's eternal. It can't destroy what's sealed. Even now, there are moments when the heat rises again. It feels like old battles are resurfacing, like lessons you thought were learned are back again. But this is not regression, it's refinement. You're not going backwards, you're going deeper. Because the seal isn't just about surviving the fire, it's about being transformed by it. The fire is now your teacher, your ally. You don't fear it the way you used to. You know now that what burns away was never meant to stay. You've learned to bless the fire, not resist it. Because every time it comes, you rise higher. The world sees scars and assumes loss, but heaven sees them and recognizes promotion. Sealed ones wear their pain like prophecy. It speaks for them. It announces that they've been through what others could not bear, and they came out carrying glory. This is why the enemy fears those who have walked through the fire, not because they are perfect, but because they cannot be manipulated. You no longer need applause to confirm your anointing. You no longer depend on people to feel secure. You've been stripped of everything but the truth, and the truth is, you are sealed, fire-tested, and flame-proven. What tried to destroy you has now become your authority. You walk differently now, not arrogantly, not proudly, but with the quiet strength of one who knows the cost of the call. You're not loud. You don't have to be. The fire already did the talking. Chosen one. You've heard whispers in the spirit, subtle nudges, restless nights where sleep wouldn't come because something inside you knew. This isn't just another season. This is a summons. Heaven is broadcasting on emergency frequency. You are being called forth, not in the future, but now. You can't ignore it anymore. The atmosphere around you is shifting. The things that once satisfied you now leave you empty. The environments you used to tolerate now feel suffocating. Even your thoughts have been stirred. You catch yourself questioning what you used to accept without hesitation. That is not confusion. It's clarity beginning to rise. Heaven is sounding an alarm, and your soul is hearing it. You are not where you used to be, but you're not yet where you're going. You're standing in the middle ground, holy tension, and in that place, conviction becomes your compass. God isn't just nudging you toward purpose. He is warning you against delay, because grace does not always wait. There is a kind of delay that isn't just postponement, it becomes disobedience. You've been praying for instructions, but what you're feeling now isn't lack of answers. It's hesitation in the face of obedience. And heaven is issuing a final alert. Move. There are assignments attached to your yes. Souls waiting on the other side of your surrender. And while God is patient, He is not passive. There is a time when mercy makes way for movement. And you're standing in that moment right now. You've sensed it in little ways. Doors closing without explanation. Old habits losing their grip. New burdens resting on your spirit. These are not random. This is alignment in real time. This is God making room for the mantle that belongs to you. And yet, something in you hesitates. You've told yourself, I just need confirmation. But deep down, you already know. You're not waiting on confirmation. You're resisting conviction. Because you feel the weight of what's being asked. And yes, it's heavy. But it's holy. This moment is your pivot point. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more ready. Now, the sealed don't wait until they understand everything. They move when heaven says move. They obey without clarity. They step with trembling hands and burning hearts, because delay is more dangerous than fear. And make no mistake, heaven has been patient with you. God saw the trauma. He held you through the confusion. He knew the loss drained your hope. But now, the atmosphere has changed. The trumpet is not sounding gently, it's blaring. Because you are not just being invited, you are being summoned. You are standing at a threshold. And the longer you hesitate, the heavier the cost. This is not a threat. It's mercy telling the truth. Because disobedience doesn't just affect your path, it affects those who are attached to your purpose. When you remain silent, their answers are delayed. When you shrink back, they remain bound. You are not just a receiver of freedom, you are a carrier of it. The days of passive waiting are over. You are not confused. You are being convicted. You are not uncertain. You are being positioned. You are not stuck. You are being warned. Move. The angels are not circling without reason. The pressure in your chest is not stress, it's divine urgency. The words echoing in your spirit aren't just thoughts, they are the voice of the Spirit saying, go now. There is a cost to continued hesitation. Not because God is angry, but because heaven is moving, and it cannot wait forever. The ones who delay become the ones who are bypassed, not rejected, not unloved, but bypassed. Because God's plan will move with or without our willingness. And you, chosen one, are standing at the very edge of your instruction. This is not the time for distraction. This is not the time for double-mindedness. You've lingered long enough. You've circled the mountain for years. You've asked for more time, but time is not your savior. Obedience is. And if this is resonating, if the fire in your spirit is too strong to deny, type this number as a declaration of surrender. 222. Just 3 digits. But in the spirit, they speak loudly. I will move. I will obey. I am aligned. Type it not for show, but for shift. Because heaven is watching. The silence you feel isn't God pulling back. It's Him waiting for your yes. He's done speaking for now. He's waiting for your response. This is the hour. Chosen one. This is the moment you were prepared for. Not the applause. Not the stage. But the breaking the moment your obedience shatters chains not just around your life, but around others tethered to your calling. When you rise, something breaks in the unseen. When you obey, invisible prisons begin to shake. You've thought your life was small, hidden, overlooked. But in the Spirit, your obedience is explosive. God has not been building you in silence for show. He's been building you for war, for impact, for spiritual demolition. Every yes you've whispered in private is a wrecking ball in the realm of darkness. Every time you kept going when you had nothing left, your spirit sent a shockwave through every plan the enemy designed for your defeat. You are not just chosen to survive, you are chosen to disrupt. Chains are tied to your mouth. Freedom is linked to your hands. Restoration is resting in your steps. That's why your surrender matters. Because when you move in alignment, bondage breaks in people you don't even know. You've underestimated your impact because you've been measuring it by earthly feedback. You've waited for people to recognize you, affirm you, applaud you. But heaven doesn't measure influence by metrics. It measures by movement, what shifts when you step into place, and whether you realize it or not. When you walk in obedience, territory is taken. That's why the warfare increased. The closer you got to this point, hell saw what you were about to touch, and it panicked. It sent distractions, detours, and even people to derail you. Not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous. You've wondered why your atmosphere has felt heavier, why your sleep has been restless, why even victories seem to carry new weight. It's because you are no longer just fighting for yourself. Your obedience is now generational. It's now regional. It carries ripples far beyond your view. There are those around you who don't know they're bound. They've been living in cycles for years, and your surrender is the key. Not your talent, not your charisma, your surrender. When you move in obedience, others are released. That's the real reason you were sealed, not just to be protected, but to be activated. You've carried the seal long enough. You've questioned your worth, your timing, your readiness. But heaven has already made the announcement. Now is the time, chosen one. When you rise, darkness loses footing. Not because you're loud, but because your obedience is precise. Not because you're perfect, but because your yes is real. You've cried in secret. You've sacrificed in silence. But when you stand now, you do so not in your own strength, but in the full backing of the kingdom. You've been hidden, refined, set apart, and all of it was necessary so that when this moment came, you wouldn't fold under pressure. You carry answers inside you. You carry healing in your voice. You carry authority you haven't even fully touched yet. And all of it is activated through obedience. The earth has enough noise. It doesn't need more talk. It needs action. It needs chosen ones who don't flinch when the wind rises, who don't back down when the spirit realm pushes, who stand, eyes clear, heart steady, seal blazing, and say, "I will not bow." That's you. You were born for this, not for performance, for power, not for comfort, for confrontation, not for praise, for purpose. And if you know this message has been speaking directly into your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share this word. Someone else needs the same wake-up call. Someone else is about to break. But your obedience to share this might be the thing that keeps them standing. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Stay connected. These words are not just encouragement. They are instructions, lifelines, prophetic alignments. The sealed are rising. You are not alone. Like, share, subscribe. Let this message go where it was meant to go. Because when chosen ones rise, hell backs up. Chosen one, there is a weight that rests upon your shoulders, a mantle not many would accept if they understood what it cost. But you didn't ask for it. You didn't campaign for it. You didn't even know what it truly meant when God placed it on you. And yet, it fits. Not because it's comfortable, but because it was crafted for you before time began. This mantle is not light. It is not glamorous. It doesn't come with applause or security. It comes with responsibility. It comes with loneliness. It comes with spiritual tension you can't explain, even to those closest to you. But you wear it still, because your yes was real. You carry what others ran from. You steward what others dropped. You've picked up assignments that others left behind, not because you were the obvious choice, but because you were the obedient one. There is something sacred about saying yes when you don't feel ready, about stepping into a calling that terrifies you, about walking towards something others dismissed as too costly, and yet, you did. You stepped in. You carried what others avoided, and heaven took note. You're wearing a mantle that others considered too heavy, too intense, too uncomfortable, and now, it marks you. You've learned how to carry it with grace, even when your hands shook, even when your knees buckled under the weight. You've learned to move slowly, to speak with intention, to listen before you act, because you know the cost of misusing what's been placed on you. This isn't about being better than others. It's about being responsible with what you've been trusted to carry. And yes, it has cost you. You've had to say no to opportunities that looked good but weren't aligned. You've had to walk away from connections that weren't assigned to your destiny. You've been misunderstood, misread, misused, because the weight you carry changed how you move. You've been refined through rejection, shaped through silence, humbled through humiliation. And still, you carry the mantle. Others saw the pressure and walked away. You stayed. Others compromised. You refused. Others looked for shortcuts. You submitted to the process. That's why the mantle rests on your life with weight and power. Because it hasn't been taken lightly. Because you've proven through pain, not performance, that you're willing to carry what's holy. And this mantle, it's not static. It grows with you. It adapts as you mature. What you carried 5 years ago isn't what you're carrying now. The battles you face today are different because the authority you walk in is deeper. You've outgrown certain battles not because you've escaped them, but because you've conquered them. You've been elevated in the spirit realm, quietly, without announcement, without platform, without title. But the increase is real, and the enemy knows it. That's why the warfare hasn't stopped, it's shifted. That's why your discernment has sharpened. That's why your spirit is restless. Because this mantle is stirring. It's preparing to release something new through you. There are assignments approaching that require a deeper level of surrender, not louder obedience, purer obedience, the kind that costs you your pride, your preferences, even your plan. But you're ready. Because this mantle has trained you, it has taught you to hear God in the silence, to trust Him in the confusion, to keep walking even when there is no visible path. It has crushed your ego and exposed your heart. And now, there's no turning back. You don't wear this mantle for recognition. You wear it because it's who you are. Even if you tried to lay it down, you wouldn't be able to walk without it. It has become part of your spiritual DNA. You don't know how to not care, how to not intercede, how to not feel the weight of what others ignore. This is the life of the sealed. And yet, this mantle is not a burden. It's a privilege. It's an honor. You've been trusted with something that touches eternity, that affects generations, that shifts regions. You may feel ordinary, but you are carrying something eternal. Chosen one. What rests on your life is not small. It is not light, but it is divine. It is proof that God saw something in you that others missed. And whether they recognize it or not, heaven has already marked you. You're not walking for yourself. You're walking for the broken, for the bound, for the ones who don't yet know they're about to be free. And this mantle you wear, it's the key to unlocking more than you've imagined. Keep carrying it, even when it's heavy, even when you're tired, because what rests on your life is worth every sacrifice. Chosen one, can you feel it? That groaning beneath your spirit, that sense that something is calling you, not just upward, but outward. It's not your imagination. It's not just emotion. It's the earth responding to the seal you carry. All of creation is groaning for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God, and that includes you. You've been taught to believe that the world is getting darker, and it is. But that darkness is not winning. It's only becoming more obvious, more disparate, because light like yours is about to be revealed. The shaking around you is not chaos, it's a cry. The world is not just falling apart, it is making room for the emergence of those who have been hidden, sealed, prepared. Everything you've been through has positioned you for this groaning moment. You were never meant to watch from the sidelines. You are not a spectator. You are a signal, a living response to the cries of the broken, the confused, the deceived. Your life is not just about personal purpose, it's about prophetic alignment with creation's cry for justice, truth, and divine order. That's why you can't shake the burden. That's why you wake up with weight in your chest. That's why the ordinary no longer satisfies. You are being called into the fulfillment of Romans 8:19. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. You are part of that unveiling. This is why your journey has been so unique. You've carried pain that felt personal, but it was always purposeful. Every delay, every disappointment, every disconnection was not about punishment, it was about positioning. You were being stretched for a need far beyond your circle. Creation is crying, and your spirit has heard it. You may not have had language for it, but the ache in you has been real. You've looked around and said, there has to be more. That longing isn't rebellion, it's recognition. Your inner man knows there's a sound you were born to release, a movement you're assigned to ignite, a breakthrough that only your voice will unlock. You are not just chosen to walk in power, you are chosen to respond, to speak what others are afraid to speak, to stand where others shrink, to step where there is no path. Because your steps become the path. Creation does not groan for titles, it groans for truth. It doesn't groan for influencers, it groans for intercessors. It doesn't groan for fame, it groans for fire. And chosen one, that fire is in your bones. You've tried to contain it. You've tried to dim it. You've tried to explain it away. But nothing quenches it, because it's not from you, it's from God. It's His call echoing through your frame, saying, now is the time to rise. There are lands crying out for reform. Systems that are cracking under corruption, cities where violence has become a rhythm, families bound by curses and deception, and you carry part of the answer, not the whole. But, enough to shift an atmosphere, enough to shake a lineage free, enough to trigger a revival in one person's soul. That's why it's been heavy. That's why your path has required more than others. Because your impact will go deeper than most. You've felt it. That sense that when you speak, something beyond you moves. That when you pray, the room shifts. That when you walk into a place, the environment either draws to you or resists you. It's not personal, it's positional. You are heaven's response to earth's ache. And it's not always glamorous. Sometimes it feels like being misunderstood, like standing alone, like carrying burdens that others don't feel. But you were built for it. Your frame may be weary, but your spirit has stamina. You've been trained by trials, forged in silence, strengthened through secret suffering. Now the time has come to step fully into why you were sealed. You don't need a stage. You don't need a title. You need only to obey the sound. Because when the sealed respond to the groaning of the earth, heaven backs them. Not with convenience, but with confirmation. Not with ease, but with evidence. Chosen one, what rests on you is not small. What's in you is not optional. The earth is groaning, and your silence is not safety, it's suppression. But when you respond, when you release what's inside you, something shifts. Darkness retreats. Truth rises. Order returns. You are not the answer to everything, but you are a key to something. And now, if you know your spirit has recognized this moment, write this in the comments as your declaration. It is time, just 3 words. But they mark the end of delay and the beginning of release. You are not just seen, you are summoned. Chosen one. It's time to confront the truth that's been circling you for years. You are not waiting on a sign, you are the sign. You've searched the skies, prayed for evidence, asked for clarity. But all along, heaven has been pointing to you as the answer. You are the proof that God still interrupts bloodlines with deliverance. You are the evidence that cycles can be broken, that curses can end, that darkness can lose its grip when even one surrendered soul rises up with holy defiance. You are the sign that something different is possible. You've been praying for a shift, but your very presence is the shift. You walk into spaces, and the atmosphere responds. You carry weight even when you feel weak. You carry answers even when you don't feel prepared. Because heaven doesn't anoint the confident, it anoints the willing. And you, even in your trembling, have said yes. You didn't always say it loudly. Sometimes your yes came in the form of not giving up, of holding on when nothing made sense, of whispering prayers with a dry throat and a wounded heart. That yes counted. It still counts, because God saw it, and He built around it. You are the sign. The enemy knows it. That's why confusion has tried to drown you. That's why your identity has been attacked over and over. That's why people have misunderstood you, misnamed you, mislabeled you. Because if you ever fully step into who you are, every lie around you has to crumble. You've been the sign in places where no one knew what they were waiting for. In your family, you were the first to question the dysfunction, to push back against the silence, to break the rhythm of pain that kept replaying for generations. You carried questions that felt like rebellion, but they were actually revelation. You weren't defiant, you were discerning. You could feel the misalignment even when you didn't have the language for it. You knew something was wrong, even when everyone else called it normal. That knowing, that tension, that unspoken ache, that was the first sign that God had set you apart. You are not the echo, you are the voice. The sign doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it looks like staying when everyone leaves, like standing when everyone else bends, like forgiving when bitterness seems more reasonable. You've lived through battles most would never survive, and you came through, not untouched, but still full of light. Your scar don't cancel your assignment. They announce it. They say, "This one has been through the fire and did not fold. This is why you've never quite blended in. Even when you tried to dim your light, something always gave you away. A word, a look, a moment of clarity. You carry something that exposes what others try to hide. Not because you judge, but because you carry truth. And truth never enters quietly. You are not everyone's preference, but you are God's choice. You don't carry generic answers. You carry customized solutions for pain others have normalized. When you walk into a room, darkness gets uncomfortable because your presence reveals there's another way, that cycles can break, that hope still speaks, that God is not finished. You've tried to wait for the perfect moment, for the doors to open, for the right words to form. But what you carry is not time sensitive, it's truth sensitive. It shows up when it's needed, not when you're ready. But when heaven is ready to speak through you, that means you won't always feel prepared. But obedience doesn't wait for comfort. The sign doesn't always come wrapped in strength. Sometimes it comes clothed in weakness, in surrender, in the humility of someone who knows they can't but trusts the one who can. You've been walking through your days thinking you're invisible, but heaven has been using you to shift the ground. You are the sign, the one who refuses to normalize what broke others, the one who asks the questions that shift generations, the one who carries both the wound and the wisdom. And the reason the warfare has intensified is because you are nearing the moment when what's in you will no longer be hidden. You won't have to announce yourself. Your life will speak. Your story will speak. Your freedom will speak. And when it does, others will realize they've been waiting for you. Not the version of you that pleases people. The real you. The sealed one. The sign. Chosen one. You've noticed it. The silence. Not the kind that brings peace, but the kind that raises questions. The kind that makes you pause and wonder, where is the movement? Where is the voice that used to guide me? Why does everything feel so still? This is not absence. This is the stillness before the shift. There is a particular kind of silence heaven uses. It's not rejection, and it's not withdrawal. It's divine suspense. You are standing in the breath between two movements. The tension before the breakthrough, the quiet right before the curtain lifts. You've been asking if you did something wrong, if you missed a step, if you misheard a command, but you haven't. You've been following faithfully. You've obeyed even when the results were invisible. And now, the silence you're in is not punishment, it's positioning. God is not testing your passion. He is maturing your perception. Because this next move isn't about being led by constant noise. It's about knowing Him in the pause, trusting Him in the stillness, moving when you hear nothing, simply because you know His nature. That is the maturity of the sealed. You don't need thunder to obey anymore. You've grown beyond depending on signs every time you move. You've been trained to recognize the rhythm of His breath. And right now, that breath is being held, not in hesitation, but in holy anticipation. The silence is sacred. It's where strategies are whispered that words can't yet carry. It's where God peels back the noise and leaves only Himself, so that when He speaks next, you don't confuse His voice with your emotions. You've had to learn that not every silent season is dry. Some are deeply drenched with revelation that only reveals itself in hindsight. Some carry weight that feels invisible now, but will become undeniable in what's about to unfold. You are not being ignored. You are being readied. You're not being abandoned. You're being aligned. It's the same stillness that hovered over the waters before creation burst forth. The same stillness that filled the tomb before resurrection. The same stillness that descends before heaven opens. This is the quiet before manifestation. You are closer than you realize. That's why you felt the tension without explanation. It's why everything in you wants to either leap forward or retreat backward. But neither option will do. This moment calls for stillness, a grounded, steady trust that says, even here, I will wait. Even now, I believe. Because something is coming that you can't afford to miss. This silence has thinned the space between heaven and earth. It has trained your spirit to sense the slightest movement. You're not distracted like you once were. You're not as easily swayed. You've lost your appetite for noise. And in its place has come hunger for what's real. And heaven responds to hunger. So much of what you've been praying for isn't late. It's waiting. Not on time, but on timing. Divine timing doesn't rush. It doesn't explain. It prepares. And the preparation often feels like stillness, like the world has paused. But you're expected to remain alert. That's exactly right. Because when the shift comes, and it will come, it will not warn you. It will not knock gently. It will come as suddenly as the silence did. And you will need the clarity this stillness is building in you right now. You are learning to move without music, to trust without touch, to discern without distraction. And that is not weakness, it is deep strength. The kind that only sealed ones develop. The kind that anchors cities. The kind that walks into chaos with calm and says, I've been here before. This silence doesn't scare me. I know what comes next. There is power in restraint. There is glory in waiting well. And you, chosen one, are doing both, even when you feel nothing, hear nothing, see nothing. The stillness before the shift is the space where giants are made, not through battle, but through inner mastery, through learning the language of heaven without words, through becoming the kind of vessel that doesn't just carry glory but hosts it. You are being prepared not just to see change, but to release it. And what's coming, what's forming in the silence, is going to require a level of clarity and obedience that can only be formed in this kind of stillness. Don't despise it. Embrace it. Because when the silence breaks, your life will never be the same. Chosen one. This is the hour. You've circled the same ground for too long, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You've wrestled with the same doubts, entertained the same distractions, delayed the same obedience. But the Spirit of the Lord says, no more delay. Heaven is not repeating itself. It's moving. The cloud has shifted. The grace that once covered procrastination is lifting, and what was optional before is now urgent. You've lingered on the edge of destiny, staring at the waters, wondering if it's time to cross. It is. Now, you've asked for confirmation. This is it. You don't need another prophetic word. You don't need another sign. You need to move. Step forward. Take the action you've been delaying. Speak the word. Begin the assignment. End the compromise. Walk away from the place that's drained your spirit and step into the place heaven has already marked for your arrival. Delay is no longer safe. It is no longer neutral. You are one step away from momentum and one hesitation away from stagnation. No more spiritual delay. Not when people are attached to your obedience. Not when your silence is costing someone else their clarity. Not when the window for your specific assignment is open now. The sealed cannot afford to sleep when the heavens are moving. This is not about speed, It's about surrender. You don't have to run, but you do have to move. There is a moment that belongs to you, and if you don't step into it, someone else will, but it won't carry your anointing, your weight, your story, your oil, and you've come too far to forfeit what was shaped in fire. God is not asking you to be ready. He's asking you to be willing. There is power in your presence. There is anointing in your action. Every time you obey, the atmosphere adjusts. Every time you step out, resistance breaks. Every time you choose movement over fear, heaven releases something new. This is why the enemy has been loud. He knows he can't stop God's plan. But if he can delay your yes, he can disrupt the timing. He can twist the sequence. He can make you miss the moment, not by rejection, but by hesitation. Chosen one, this is your moment of prophetic release. No more circling. No more asking questions you already know the answer to. No more delaying what you know you must do. This is your crossing point. And on the other side of this step is not just breakthrough, it's legacy. And if your spirit is leaping, if you know this word is breaking something open in you, don't scroll past it. Mark this moment in the natural with a prophetic act in the comments. Comment the number 999. That number signifies completion, the end of delay, the start of divine momentum. And don't stop there. Share this message. Someone else is caught in delay, and your obedience to share this could trigger their release. Like this word, if it confirmed something in you. Subscribe to stay aligned with heaven's flow. There is more being released. And the next word could carry your next instruction. The sealed are rising. The hour is now. Move. Chosen one. The time has come for your voice to be fully understood, not just by others, but by you. For too long, you've carried a sound in your spirit that you've only let out in pieces. A whisper in prayer, a fragment in passing, a hesitation wrapped in obedience. But now, heaven is placing fire behind your words. The same voice you used to second guess is about to become your sharpest weapon, not because of volume, but because of weight. What you speak is not casual. It is consequential. Your words shift atmospheres. They call things into alignment. They expose what has been hiding in the shadows. And the reason your voice has been under attack for so long is because the enemy knew that once you recognized the authority in it, nothing would stay the same. From the beginning, you were wired to speak, not just with your mouth, but with your presence. You walk into rooms and things begin to move. You're not always the loudest, but you carry sound. Sound in the spirit. Sound that disturbs the unseen. Sound that reminds every demon in the vicinity that you were not only chosen, you were armed. This is not the voice of echo. It is the voice of origin. The words that form in you are not recycled from others. They are revealed by the Spirit. That's why they've been resisted. That's why you've been tempted to shrink back. Because truth doesn't come without tension. Light doesn't come without friction. And yet, your voice rises. It rises even when you feel unqualified. It rises even when you're weary. It rises because heaven has placed something within you that cannot be silenced. A sound that is not just for comfort, but for confrontation. A sound that pierces lies, that reveals hearts, that breaks chains. This is why conversations have felt heavier lately. Why your discernment has increased without effort. Why words rest in your mouth with urgency. You can't always explain. Because the mantle on your voice has grown. What you release now carries not only truth, But wait, a prophetic edge, a breaker's anointing, and the Spirit is asking you to speak not carelessly, but courageously. You don't need to impress. You don't need to perform. You just need to release, because your voice, even when trembling, carries the seal of heaven. You've been entrusted with phrases that will free people, sentences that will cut through confusion, declarations that won't just encourage, they will dismantle darkness. And every time you've chosen silence out of fear, something holy within you ached, not because you failed, but because you were withholding what the earth was groaning to hear. You were not made to keep peace by withholding truth. You were made to speak peace into chaos with authority. Chosen one, your voice is a weapon, and it's time to wield it. Not in anger, not in pride, but in fierce obedience, in love that tells the truth even when it costs comfort, in clarity that doesn't bend to culture, in boldness that doesn't wait for applause. Your voice doesn't need a crowd. It needs conviction, and you have that now. You've earned it in the silence, sharpened it through suffering, refined it in the waiting. What used to tremble now burns. What used to stammer now strikes. You no longer need external permission to speak what heaven has placed inside you. You are not just speaking for now. You're echoing what was written before you were born. You're tapping into ancient truth wrapped in modern urgency. You are not reacting. You are revealing. This is why your voice has returned in this season stronger than before. Because you are no longer interested in being heard, you are committed to being obedient. The words you carry now will disrupt the normal. They will offend the comfortable, but they will also awaken the sleeping. They will call the silent into speech. They will revive what was buried, not because of eloquence, but because of alignment. You are not called to speak what is popular. You are called to speak what is needed. This is the hour to trust the voice God placed in you. The same voice that's wept in prayer, that's whispered in worship, that's trembled in warfare. It's not random. It's not too small. It's not irrelevant. It is strategic. And it is ready. When you speak, don't look for reaction. Look for impact. You may not see it with your eyes, but the spirit realm never misses it. Every word spoken in alignment sends waves, breaks chains, awakens sleepers, disturbs demons. So speak, even if your voice shakes, even if the room grows silent, even if the crowd walks away. Speak, because heaven said to. Because when a sealed one speaks, the earth recognizes its true frequency again. Chosen one, the hour has come. Everything you've walked through, every crushing, every hidden moment, every unexplainable shift has been leading here. Not to a stage, not to applause, but to sealing, a final marking for a final hour. You are not the same. You've been transformed not by lightning strikes or dramatic moments, but by 1,000 small deaths to self. 1,000 choices to obey when it cost you comfort. 1,000 moments of silence when you could have defended yourself. That is the true cost of glory. That is the making of the sealed. Heaven has never been casual about your life. There are angels stationed around your assignment. Heaven's gaze has never lifted. You've been preserved, not because of luck, but because of divine intention. Everything you lost was a signal. Everything that stayed was a confirmation. And now the angels are gathering, not to mourn what you've endured, but to witness what you're about to become. The final sealing is not about status. It is about surrender. This sealing sets apart those who will not bend, those who will not be bought, those who are unmoved by storms because they've built on something deeper than public recognition. They've built on the whispered voice of God. You are one of those, and you know it. You may not have had the words for it before, but your spirit has always known. You've felt the fire. You've recognized the silence. You've sensed the separation, even when you didn't ask for it. You've been set apart. There is no going back now. You carry the fire of intercession in your lungs. You carry a sword in your worship. You carry revelation in your footsteps. The way you walk will shake ground. The way you speak will awaken sleeping hearts. The way you love will cut through darkness like a floodlight. You've been misunderstood because your call is higher than common language. You've been mocked because your spirit disturbs passive souls. You've been alone because heaven does not crowd the rooms where it prepares warriors. This final sealing is not decoration, it's deployment. You will not look different, but the realm of darkness will feel it. The angels recognize it. The atmosphere will shift around you without explanation. Doors will open, not because of your name, but because of His name on you. This sealing is the branding of final purpose. You will move differently now. Your joy will carry authority. Your stillness will be warfare. Your tears will become tools. Your presence will convict. Chosen one. Everything in your life has been rewritten from the scrolls of heaven, not by accident, but by command. You will not repeat the patterns of those before you. You will not die in a cycle. You will not miss your hour. You are crowned now, not with gold, but with oil, not with fame, but with fire, not with comfort, but with the courage to finish. The angels know your name because it is written, not in pencil, not in sand, but in eternal ink, carved into heaven's record of the called. Your footsteps from this moment forward are watched, guarded, ordered, and wherever you go not as a survivor, not as a seeker, but as one who is sealed for the final hour. This is what you were born for. And now, beloved chosen one, breathe. You've walked through fire and carried thunder in silence. You've wept prayers no one heard and obeyed whispers few could interpret. You've been marked, molded, and moved, not by trend, but by truth. Your name is not forgotten. It is not ignored. It is known. You are unstoppable not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. You are unshakable not because you didn't break, but because you didn't stay broken. You are chosen not because you tried to be, but because heaven wrote it so. This hour belongs to the sealed. This movement belongs to the marked. The world will look for answers, and your life will be the sign. You'll speak, and chains will fall. You'll walk, and paths will clear. You'll stay silent, and conviction will settle in the room like holy smoke. The time for wondering has ended. The time for wandering is over. You know who you are now. Sealed, summoned, sent. Heaven has not just confirmed you. Heaven has commissioned you. Walk with reverence. Live with fire. Speak with weight. You are not a spectator in this final hour. You are a key player, a chosen one, a sealed vessel, a living answer to the earth's groaning. And the angels, they already know your name. If this word lit something in your spirit, don't keep it quiet. Like this message, share it. Let it reach the next chosen one who's on the edge. Subscribe and stay in alignment with what heaven is pouring out. And if you know this word was for you, comment, I receive the seal. You are not alone.